Ah, the humble controller. They've served us really well, allowing us to interact with our devices in more interactive ways, depending on the games you play anyway. And generally they've been pretty effective, drawing us in and grabbing our attention, but we have required some pretty advanced hardware in order to keep all of this up. Now you probably have an RGB keyboard, staring at mine flashing away. You probably have an RGB mouse. Don't know if I can hold that up. Can you yeah, you can kind of see that. So RGB mouse. But there's a couple of technologies that haven't actually changed much over time. The keyboard and the mouse. Now, since these technologies haven't really been updated, don't you think it's time that we finally get something new that's going to replace that limiting technology? Well, you probably could use your microphone as I am now, talking into the microphone, but you're probably also thinking VR, virtual reality. VR's great, but let's be honest, no one's going to be caught in public wearing their VR kit set. Be a little bit embarrassing, standing out a little bit, but that's definitely something we would do maybe in the living room, but we won't dare take that outside. But what if I said there was a new technology? Now this technology will likely replace the keyboard and the mouse. It's going to give you the ability to interact with holograms like this just by moving your hands, so gestures. That means you could work so much more efficiently. You're not going to have to type everything. And you're probably going to have a virtual AI assistant sitting there listening to everything you're doing and probably doing the typing for you automatically. And all you have to do is just sit there and wave your hands around while you're learning new information or reading something online. Man, that sounds like a really cool future. I wonder if this is a possibility, or are we talking like 50 years in the future? Oh, what are they learning there? That looks quite interesting. Anyway, it may seem far-fetched for now, but turns out this is slowly becoming our reality. Technology is on its way to replace your keyboard and mouse. Presenting augmented reality Ray Bans? They just look like normal glasses. You might be familiar with Tony Stark's Edith, which is pretty similar. Little Marvel reference there for those who are keen. Hi there, I'm Dr. Rikus Botha. Today we're talking Orion AR glasses. We'll go through some of the features of these glasses and why it's something you might want to keep an eye out for in the future. This technology has only just been released. Now the Orion glasses date back quite a few years now. It's a prodigy of Mark Zuckerberg's Meta company. The original project was called Project Nazar, but the whole idea was having the ability to interact with your devices just through using normal glasses. And that means you're going to have cameras equipped into these glasses. You're likely going to have earpieces or some sort of method for introducing sound into your ears. You're probably going to be able to take photos and video with these glasses as well. And overall, they should in theory replace everything that we've come to get used to with our devices. Let's go through some of these features. We're going to have an immersive, augmented reality experience. Due to the nature of the materials that they're made of, we're going to have a very immersive field of view, hopefully at least 120 degrees. It's going to be this idea of a contextual AI that you'll be interacting with. So obviously Meta has their own model, but there are other models. Maybe eventually you can update and have any AI assistant that you wish. And that does mean there may be scope for personalization. Can you imagine that? Updating your AI with the latest functionalities. Kind of like downloading the information into our brains, like a reference there from the Matrix movie. I'm sure you've seen those. Really, really good trilogy. Now, another main bonus will be hands-free communication, which kind of raises a whole new concern. How are we going to be able to drive in cars when you could have augmented reality glasses on? Wouldn't that obscure your vision? It's probably going to mean a new law that's going to ban AR glasses in cars unless you're sitting in the back being transported like a VIP. That might be the only way. Now, another very important consideration here is the privacy glass. Now, you may not realize this immediately, but very importantly, they had to crack some sort of way to secure external influences from seeing what you're busy doing on your glasses. We don't want to be overly intrusive, but that does mean you can do whatever you want on your glasses and no one else is going to be able to judge you for it. That sounds far more dodgy than it really is. It just means you can log into your bank account and the person next to you won't be able to observe your passwords. That would be a bit of a concern if you could just see someone's passwords being typed in. Anyway, you know what I mean. Now, another very important consideration is that you will require, at least initially, some sort of method for hand gesture capture. In this particular case, Orion's going to come with a wristband. That wristband's going to track your hand motions, and that will be the replacement for your keyboard and your mouse. which means we're going to have to learn a whole new language. Instead of sitting there like some sort of weird typer, typing away on our keyboard, we're going to have to learn how to move our hands to interact. But there'll be objects in front of you on your screen, projected onto your eyes, I guess, that you'll have to interact with. So that's going to be quite a nice adaptation. Now keep in mind, you've probably heard of Neuralink, where we get a brain chip implanted in our brain to help us interact more efficiently with computers, which I will stress also replaces the keyboard and mouse. So Elon Musk is catching up to the times, trying to find a way to replace the keyboard and mouse. But this actually goes a step further as well, because it gives us a new method, and hopefully a far more efficient method, for interacting with our operating system. Quite keen for that technology. Now, added little bonus is this concept of the metaverse, which I'm sure you've heard of as well, but in a nutshell, this idea will be that we're going to be able to interact in a virtual world, with holograms mostly. Sounds really futuristic, doesn't it? But it's becoming reality. These holograms would be able to move around. You could, I guess, pin them in a certain location, walk away to the kitchen to make yourself a coffee. Probably a good place to insert some coffee B-roll. I'm sure you'd appreciate that as well. And then you can walk back to whichever room you're in, your study perhaps, and there it is. Your files are still loaded up and ready to go. All you have to do is sit down, enjoy yourself, maybe the coffee that you just made, and interact with your computer interface. Now, unfortunately, right now, it's still at a prototype phase, and as you would imagine, for such revolutionary technology, the price cap is rather huge. Don't expect this one to hit the consumer market anytime soon. It's probably only going to be for those who have rather big bank balances. But keep in mind, this technology is coming for your keyboard and mouse. The day will arrive when you will have to switch over to the latest and the greatest. Now, it's all good and well talking about technology, aiming for the stars, having movie-like augmented reality glasses. But what does it mean for you and I? How are we actually going to be able to use this in the real world? Well, the first thing is going to be virtual collaboration. I mean, COVID wasn't that long ago. You'd still appreciate Zoom online sessions where you had to collaborate with people through video, kind of like we are now, which is kind of interesting. But this technology is going to make that whole process that much more seamless. You will be able to do it while walking out on the street or catching the bus. The talking part might still be a bit tricky out in public, a little bit awkward when you start talking in a library per se. Don't be that person. But this technology definitely has the ability to make this process much easier for us. Now, the one I'm particularly excited for is enhanced learning. Imagine if you could eliminate all of the encumbrances from your learning process. It means you're going to become more efficient while trying to learn new information, and if you can somehow manage to absorb more information more effectively than other individuals, surely that means you're going to become more successful in the future. We'll test that theory out, but at least in theory, these glasses could give you a competitive advantage over people who are still using the more dated technology. Full disclosure here, I actually try not to use the keyboard at this stage. I found it's much better to narrate my responses. If you have a little AI plugin on your computer, it's very easy to translate that information into text. So you could write a thesis in a mere moment's time, where we used to have to actually physically type those things. Interesting how quickly technology moves on. Now, another interesting aspect is going to be this idea of hands-free assistance. Now, if you are someone who has the privilege of owning a vehicle and you are driving around, you'd appreciate the annoyance of having to pull over just so you can interact with your computer that's driving your entertainment system. I assume you have a tablet driving your computer system, or maybe your smartphone's doing that work for you. But imagine if you could talk to your smartphone. So I know you're saying Siri or Google's AI, but something a bit more advanced, more like a ChatGPT level, where you could say, load up this specific location within the device, it'll load it up, and then you can interact with it seamlessly. At least that's what I would hope would be on the cards with this technology. Now, another interesting one is augmented navigation. So right now, obviously, when you are traveling around, you'd have to load up your phone, load up Google Maps, and you'd hopefully be able to input your directions and find your location. But imagine if it could display where you're going and you could see live updates on this process on the go. I mean, this could almost work in a vehicle as well. I know it's kind of risky, but imagine if you could occupy at least a small segment, maybe as a driving mode, but you can occupy a small segment of your visual field displaying key information on your travels. That'd make it really easy. You'd never have to take your eyes off the road, in theory. So probably going to be a lot safer from that perspective. Unless Elon's cyber taxis take over before then. I don't know. We'll see which one happens first. Now, another really interesting component is that idea of immersive entertainment. Now this one has a lot of potential. Can you imagine being able to interact in a far more digitally enhanced setting? When you're watching your movies, you could practically pretend you're in a movie theater. You could have the whole thing displayed out. You could load up your popcorn on the microwave. You can enjoy a cinematic experience at home with your entertainment system with your AR glasses. I don't know, it could be interesting. I'm sure you'll come up with other interesting ways to interact. Fitness and well-being. Imagine having your personalized coach standing next to you, taking you through all the key things you need to do to enhance your physique and gain optimal performance, but it's all virtual. All you have to do is wear your augmented reality glasses. That's going to be a cool feature. Social interaction. Now, there's no replacement for in-person interactions, but imagine if you could do this in high definition, go out for a cup of coffee at some cafe while not physically being there. It's going to be a bit weird doing augmented reality eating. Don't know what you're like at pretending like you're enjoying a nice breakfast with poached egg and maybe a bit of orange juice or maybe the old mochaccino on the side. But this could very well become a reality where you could interact with your best friend who's way on the other side of the world. Kind of cool. Now, if you're anything like me and productivity is high on your list, finding ways to get small things done more effectively, these glasses will probably give you a huge competitive advantage as well. Being able to interact with your device in a more efficient way is going to save you time that you could be spending doing things that are more constructive. So you can amplify everything you're doing and take out all those laborious tasks that we normally spend our time on can be eliminated, or at least made more efficient. Joys of AI. Can you imagine doing your retail shopping? Throw your glasses on, you can go out, get into your sale mode and run through all the stores that you may be interested in. You could test out different things. You could visually perhaps even see the materials in front of you. You can ask another assistant, perhaps one of the store workers, to jump over and they can put on their AR glasses. They can interact and show you how everything works. Kind of cool. Last one there, home automation. You imagine having everything in your house running seamlessly, all controlled, I would say by your fingertips, but in this case by your wristband, your gestures. Kind of interesting. Now hopefully I've managed to capture your attention on this particular video. We've gone through what is arguably going to be the coolest technology that is going to hit our computers fairly soon. Don't know on the exact day that this technology will reach us, but rest assured, the replacement for the keyboard and the mouse is on its way, and one day you're going to be able to say goodbye to your RGB keyboard and hello to your RGB glasses. See you on the next video. What can we expect next time? Well, dopamine detox. A process of reducing or cutting back on behaviors or substances that increase dopamine levels. Kind of like this. Are you feeling like you're on cloud 9? Are you hooked? Can a dopamine detox help boost mood? You'll have to subscribe. Stay tuned for the next video. For now, I'm going to get back to my highly stimulating activity because, who doesn't enjoy a bit of PvP action? So right now, just trying to overtake, we got a Lotus Esprit there. They're really, really fast, but no match for my Ferrari GTO on the Mugello racetrack. There it is, easy victory on that one. Stay tuned.